the king of the mountain, Shannon Buckingham. And this guy had at one time during the race 5-second leads, 6-second leads. Shannon, you in a hurry to get somewhere tonight?
Buddy, I needed to get that big lead. I didn't know who was coming. You know, this crate car is new to us. We just stuck that thing together this week, and you know, I didn't know what to do. You know, we stayed the same from hot laps to qualifying, and you know, I really didn't know what adjustments to make. You know, we haven't crate raced in a few years now, so I was nervous. I was just going. I was pretty hungry, so you know, that actually I didn't know we had that good a lead. That makes me feel good to hear you say that. But you know, I also knew, you know, I could see Cory climbing the ladder on the clock up there. You know, I knew he was catching up, and he's got a whole lot of laps around this place. So, you know, I wanted to keep all them lappers between me and him that I could.
Couple of things. First of all, you mentioned that you hadn't crate raced in a while. You used to be a regular with the Durance Lane Chevrolet Dirt Late Model Series. I mean, back in the days when it was Storm Pay and then Neesmith, and now you're back with the Durance Lane, your first appearance, and man, it must be 6 or 7 years since we've seen you. How much has this series changed? Have you noticed anything a lot different than what it was when you were with us before?
Well, obviously you're a familiar face. You know, I heard Mike was here. I hadn't seen him. My dad spoke to him, but no, you know, I think you guys run a pretty tight ship. I mean, everything went along really well. I was happy that I was able to take a supercar and, you know, put my crate stuff on it. You know, your deck height's a little different, but other than that, everything was good. You know, we got through tech. We didn't have to do a bunch of crazy stuff and cutting spoilers and all that. You know, I mean, it's always, I think that's a good thing. Some people argue, but I think anytime you can take what the super guys are running and put a crate motor in there and go race it, I think that's good. You know, they can buy used cars. You know, some of the super guys that have been struggling like me can step back, you know, and regroup and hit a few of those shows. I think it's good for everybody. So no, I think you guys are just as professional as you always were. Maybe a little more with these fancy blue shirts, but no, it was man, it was a good feeling. It's good to run with you guys. You know, like you said, we run up and down the road a lot of miles, a lot of years. You know, and that's where I cut my teeth late model racing. So it feels good to be back. You know, and hopefully we'll. Man, I just want to race. I'm getting the bug super bad. The more I do it, the more I want to do it, and you know, I'm sure we'll. Since everything's went so smooth and it's been so welcoming to be back with you guys, I'm sure we'll run again. You know, in this winter some and in the spring. You know, definitely just want to. While I got a chance, I always forget, but thank Roger at Tennessee RV. You know, thank Fleetwood RV Group. Rev Group, man, all my guys, VP Fuel, Who's Your Tires, Maria at FK, she's super, and man, there's a bunch of them on the car. I'm not got to do a lot of interviews this year, so I'm a little rusty.
You're doing good. You're doing good. One thing about me though is since we last did this thing, a few more pounds, and I think my beard was a little darker back then. But tell me about the engine in this car tonight. You know, a lot of people talk about how these guys will buy a crate engine, what they call crate engine, go and get it blueprinted and do this and do that and spend another $7,000-8,000 and then put it back in the car with a brand new engine. Tell us about what you had tonight. I heard a story about it.
Well, I'm glad you asked. And when we, over the winter, you know, we considered going to Florida and doing some of the Speed Week stuff. You know, like I say, I've been gone for a while, and I used to be on top of my game. I felt like I was. So I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know. I always ran stock motors before, and I didn't know whether I could compete, you know. So I asked a few guys, and a couple guys say, man, you got to build them. You can't do it stock. It's impossible. And a couple guys, actually the guy that changed my mind was Clay Knight, you know, and I think he's a very good crate racer, and he's a good friend. And he said, man, I take my motors and I have them check the valve springs because I think they come just a tad inconsistent from the factory, set the spring heights, and I run them. You know, I stick them on the dyno, make sure everything's up cool. You know, I talk to V. Keel. He's obviously he builds our super engines, and he does a little bit of crate stuff. And I said, hey, Vic, can we do something, you know, maybe slap this on the dyno because everybody's talking about E85. There was no E85 when I was running. So we took a bone stock motor, slapped it on the dyno. You know, he set all the spring heights. That was a little different. I don't think we set spring heights back when I did it. We just tried to match the springs. But for whatever reason, you know, and I told him, I said, hey, I'd absolutely want to be 100% legal. You know, I'd rather just run this thing stock. We'll run it a few races. If we get, you know, our butts handed to us, we'll do something different. But, man, that's a bone stock motor. It's got the seals in it. It made 15 laps at 411 on a test night, and it's just been sitting in the rack. And honestly, I don't think he dynoed it, and it wasn't anything special. You know, back before I went through a lot of motors because we'd get them tore down and sell them. And, you know, you would get one that was maybe a little better or a little worse. But, you know, he said, it's just kind of run-of-the-mill, you know, because he says, oh, it's a crate turd, you know, because he's used to such big horsepower, you know, and those guys build big motors. But, I think it's just the run of the mill, you know. And I always felt before that if you had a good car and you made good adjustments, man, you could stay up front. Now I know there's some exceptions when it's wide open. You know, every horsepower obviously counts. You know, tonight, I don't know whether you would consider the track wide open. I know in qualifying I held it pretty well wide open. You know, and we were on the pole by a little bit, and made me feel good. So really, my advice is, man, just buy you a fresh one. Take it to Vic, you know, and pay a $400 dyno fee, and you know, maybe put a set of springs or whatever you got to do on it, and go racing. You don't need that. And I've told several of my friends that, man, just work on your race car. I mean, I can think of you know, I've been fortunate enough to win a few crate races, but the times I did, I was able to. There was more left on the track. I could have made adjustments and been better. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like you can, even though they're limited horsepower, you're usually not using every bit of it. I mean, there was times I was skating through the corners tonight. So had I could have made a couple more adjustments, I could have been a little faster. So I say run them stock.
And if he could run a little faster, that could be bad news for the competition. Got some 10,000 to win races coming up. We're going to see you at down at Milton, Florida for 10,000 to win, and also at Magnolia Motor Speedway for the Possum Town.
Well, we went to Magnolia a couple weeks ago with a supercar, and man, I had a blast. I really like Johnny Stokes. Raced a lot with him in your guys' series when it was Storm Pay and Neesmith. So after tonight, I'd say you'll see more of us. We're going to load some race cars up and hit the road, and we're just going to go racing, man. We're having a blast. Finally turning the corner. Got these Longhorn cars working good, so I'm excited.
Good to have you back, my friend. Shannon Buckingham coming back to Durance Lane Racing Dirt Late Model Series, comes home with a $4,000 win tonight here at Smoky Mountain Speedway. He is the king of the mountain for 2018. Coming home with a second place finish tonight with the Durance Lane Chevrolet Dirt Late Model Series, Cory Hedgecock. We meet again. You just keep talking to me after these races with these top three finishes, and you had to come from back in the pack tonight.
Yeah, no doubt. I don't know what we did in qualifying, and I think it was pretty good in the heat race. It was just a little harder to pass at that point. It just wasn't that racy. But feature got real racy. I think we started 14th, and I think we had 2 cautions. So to come up to second and everything, and almost challenge for the lead at one. I wish that last caution wouldn't have come out. I'm not sure if we could actually ram down. We was rolling real good, but we, you know, all in all, I will take this. This was an awesome points night after what we when we came here. After qualifying and everything, so honestly, I'll take it all day long, and we'll move on to Talladega.
Without giving up any speed secrets, what did you throw at that number 23 car to get it quicker after qualifying?
I threw everything I had at it. Just we was just way free all night long, and I don't even know why. You know, because the racetrack, you know, it's a big racetrack, so normally you if you're anything, you're tight. But honestly, we tightened up like we would be at Boyd's or something. You know, and we still could have used a little bit more. Thankfully, Dad's smart on all that stuff, and all I got to do is just drive it.
Cory Hedgecock with another top 3 finish. I think it is what, about the 6th in a row now?
Yeah, it feels like it. Feels like we can't win one, but you know, I guess as long as we can win the championship at the end of the year, that's all that matters. That's what we came here to do.
Well, not only the championship, but the big paying money races coming up here at the end of the year.
Yeah, and there's no doubt about that. I suck at qualifying anymore for some reason, but we also it's apparent that we race very well. So hopefully we those last 200 lappers or whatever will hopefully that'll be our time to shine.
Cory Hedgecock looking for his 3rd straight championship. 2nd place finish tonight here in the King of the Mountain 50 at Smoky Mountain Speedway for the Durance Lane Chevrolet Dirt Late Model Series. With our 3rd place finisher tonight here at Smoky Mountain Speedway, Michael Courtney. Michael, quite a battle there at the end of the race for 3rd, and you end up getting it. Tell us about it.
Well, yeah, right before that last caution, the right front just went away from me there, and I cooled it off under the caution and was able to fire it back off. And me and Skinny, Greg Martin's good friends, we raced side by side. It was a little rough on the bottom, and his car really wasn't going through it too well, and that's how I was able to complete the pass. I mean, he was just upsetting his car too much, and I was able to get under him and drag race down the back straightaway and complete the pass in 3 and 4. He's always clean. We always race clean. It's just an overall good race.
Well, your first time out this year with the Durance Lane Chevrolet Dirt Late Model Series, pretty successful night. Started on the outside front row, had a good night, up front all night long. Were you really expecting the competition that you had to race with tonight?
Oh, yeah. I mean, racing Durance Lane, it's always the top tier guys in it. If you can come here and run top 5 podium finishes week in and week out, then you really got a good piece. But this was, like you said, this is our first time here. We was happy where we was. Happy we finished 3rd, but man, we sure would have liked to win it. But tough guys like Shannon Buckingham won it, and then Hedgecock's always good. And once he showed me the bottom, Hedgecock went by me. I moved down, and our car was better. Helped my right front out a little bit more. Overall, a good finish for us tonight.
Well, tell us who you'd like to thank, your sponsors that helped get you here tonight.
Like, I think Scott Romines and Stephen Romines, they own this car. There's B&M Concrete, Harrison Construction, CVR Race Cars, PPM Racing Products, Harrison Construction, Keith DeLong, Tennessee Valley Builders, quite a few of them. So it was a great night here tonight for us.
Michael Courtney coming home with a top 3 finish. 3rd place finisher tonight here at Smoky Mountain Speedway with the Durance Lane Chevrolet Dirt Late Model Series in the King of the Mountain 50.